This is a short video of some of the basic processes used to make an original print combining a one-colour Linocut with simple handmade Screenprint stencils. The basic kit for which is cheap and small enough to use on an ordinary tabletop. The press I use to print the Linocut is a relatively cheap craft press, sold to do embossing or die cutting and adapted to work as a printing press. The Big Shot Pro is also capable of good results with collagraph and etching, etc. But in common with most of these craft presses, there is no pressure adjustment on the press itself. The roller gap of this one is 28mm. That meant the press bed thickness plus the block, paper and packing also needed to be around 28mm. Then by trial and error and fine-tuning, the correct pressure for this particular setup was arrived at. This particular block is marmoleum flooring lino mounted onto 6mm MDF. It fits exactly into a surrounding chase, also made of 6mm MDF. So the block position is absolutely fixed and only the lino itself protrudes. I'm using Caligo Safe Wash ink. Many problems people have with inking and drying of this ink stem from a lack of control of quantity. I use a knife to add only the small amount required every 1 or 2 prints. The thoroughly even layer on the slab should only have the slightest texture and be consistent from print to print. The amount of ink on the paper can only be controlled by the amount of ink rolled out on the slab. I'm printing on 300 GSM Somerset satin paper. The same 2 edges of each sheet are placed exactly against the thin card registration stops. Similar stops will also be used to register this so-called lay edge when overprinting the image with Screenprint. All the hard packing of the sandwich is underneath the block, and for lino printing on a small press, all that is needed to even out any slight surface variations is a thin felt blanket or, more often, like here, a sheet of soft card or thick paper. The pressure required also varies with each block and paper combination. There is no set formula. And as you can see, a single layer of safe wash on reasonably absorbent paper, although not dry as such, can be lightly stacked and overprinted almost immediately. So we have our Linocut image printed in register on all of the sheets of the planned edition, plus a few spares and a plan for which areas will receive what colour. The Screenprint press I'm using is simply a plain piece of old kitchen unit with 2 clamp hinges firmly attached. For the transparent water-based screen inks I'll be using, a very fine screen mesh is best. These hinges are widely available but must be good quality, so there's no play or movement. I also make a simple prop for the screen to make the printing sequence easier. A registered proof is placed in a convenient position for printing. And its position fixed by another set of registration stops on the same corner of the print as for the lino print. Temporarily tape it down just to make sure it doesn't shift during this next stage. Then, using a pencil, sharp, but no harder than an HB, I gently trace out the first area to be made into a stencil. The screen is propped up away from the bed and a piece of scrap card placed just to make it easier to see what I'm doing. I'm going to use this excellent screen filler made by Lasco. I let it down with a little water, and then anywhere it adheres to the mesh, it will block the ink. However, once dry, it is so efficient that removing it and reclaiming the screen requires some effort. It's simple to apply, and hopefully in a later video I'll show how it can be used to create a range of textures and tones. I need to give the finished stencil a little clean to remove the pencil marks. Then the rest of the open areas of mesh need to be covered. And because I'll be washing out the screen after printing without removing it from the press, I seal the edges too. Vinyl tape is stronger and easier to use than ordinary packing tape. Finally, I attach a couple of bits of card to the underside to create a slight gap between mesh and paper. So with a nice sharp medium to soft squeegee and perhaps a tiny amount of low tack spray on the bed, we're all set to begin printing. I'm using a mixture of Lasco and System 3 clear base, tinted with Permaprint premium inks. With the screen lifted away from the paper, a flood coat loads the open areas of the mesh. The screen is lowered and a firm even pull at a constant 45 degrees or so pushes the ink through cleanly. A test proof first on scrap paper. Then every piece is placed exactly into the registration stops to receive its layer of ink. Because I'm using transparent inks with no white added, the colours are bright on the paper but hardly show over the key Linocut image. One advantage of using Screenprint in this way is the speed and versatility of the process. And in just a few minutes, the whole edition is printed. Now, because I'm going to paint out some of this stencil, but retain the register for a 2-layer reduction of these brown tones, I will clean and dry the screen in position. And water-based inks make cleaning very easy. Just make a solution of the remaining ink with clean water and remove with absorbent paper towel. And so this quick and easy way of adding colour to the image continues. By the time I've prepared the next stencil stage, the previous ink is dry. Working through a series of stencils made in the same way, and also a second screen, and using a variety of mark making with the blockout fluid and overlapping transparent inks to give texture and tone, I arrive at the two-stage final transparent black. And so the strong graphic qualities of Linocut remain, but the piece is transformed into something else by the speed and versatility of Screenprint.